But when we start saying enslaved Africans, okay, that means that somebody, first of all, enslaved them, and second of all, that they had a history before they got here to this country. So once we start putting that into our history, everything that we do must come from our perspective. This is why we have to have teacher trainings. Learning how to teach our children. Because when we come from our own perspective, you will be surprised on how effective the lesson becomes. So when I'm talking about Thomas Edison, I'm looking at it from the perspective of Lewis Latimer, who was working for him, who is not right now in the standards. And so I'm asking the children, if you was Lewis Latimer, what would you be thinking about Thomas Edison, whose name is there? Okay? That's teaching from our perspective. You got to get the children to think from our perspective. That makes a very big difference, because right now our history is not the norm. And when our history is not the norm, we automatically, especially if we don't systematically and intentionally talk about it, especially if we don't talk about it and be very honest with our children, they automatically feel inferior because they always come to school and hear about somebody else's history. You can graduate from any school in America without knowing any history of anybody else except for Europeans. And this goes all along. This right here is the same situation. It's not just U.S. history. We can go American lit, we can go world lit, we can go world history, all of the different subjects. We can go into math. The Pythagorean theorem. You're giving credit to somebody for building a triangle-shaped building that didn't have triangle-shaped buildings in their country. So we're giving credit in every subject. So the Pythagorean theorem is a theorem, just for those who didn't know. It's a theorem that helps you to learn the hypotenuse. Is that it? People? Is that it? The hypotenuse? Okay. So the distance of the hypotenuse, which is the longest line of the triangle. But you don't have any triangular buildings in Greece. They're all linear. But you do have a triangular building somewhere else, don't you? Okay. In ancient Egypt, which they call Kemet, the people that live there call Kemet. Okay. So in every subject, we have the opportunity to get our children to get involved and show that they were in the history books, right? But we don't do it. We have to have teacher trainings for our own people, okay? For our own people, we have to have teacher training to teach them how to teach our children, let alone other people. All right, moving on, because I can stay on this one slide forever. I'll move on. All right. Now, the thing about it is education starts before we think it starts. Education starts before the child is born. All right, so we have to start doing things to educate our children before they're born. We have to educate ourselves. In order to know all that stuff that I just talked about, you have to have read yourself, right? What Brother Greg Street was talking about. You have to have read yourself. Then you can encourage children to read, because later on we're going to talk about the effects of your behaviors. Okay? So education starts way before the child is born. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the developmental stages, but what I will say is that the only time you should put a child in the crib is when the child is asleep. Let me say that again, because I don't think everybody said, well, the only time a child should be in the crib is when they're asleep. Y'all with me? Because we have a long history of putting children in the crib, and what does that train them for when they were behind some bars and they think that this little bit of space is my space, all right? So we have to stop training the children for when they're born. We got to put them at the crib and let them crawl around. If your house is not safe enough for your child to crawl around, you need to do some rearranging in your house, all right? But put the little things in the plug, and if they're smart enough to get the thing out of the plug, you don't really have anything to worry about, because your child is pretty smart. You need to be the best for that child. So put the furniture in front of the plug, and if they moving furniture, then you might as well, you ain't really got nothing to worry about. Because if your child moving furniture, you're on point, you might as well get some money out there. But anyway, so, the thought just hit me. My theme for today, I heard it on the radio this morning. My theme from the day comes from Rich Homie Quan. Raise your hand if you know who Rich Homie Quan is. Rich Homie Quan. But we got a lot of children raising their hand, but not enough adults. We're going to get to that. The fact that we got more children raising their hand than adults, we're going to get to that. But okay, so y'all tell me, what did Rich Homie Quan say? He makes me feel what? Say it, yell it out. Makes me feel some what? Some kind of way. Right, makes me feel some type of way. This right here should make you feel some type of way, all right? Because that's what Rich Homie Quan said. He said, it makes me feel some type of way. This right here should make us feel some type of way. The fact that our history is left out of the history books should make us feel some type of way. The fact that they put our history and erase us out of the book, it should make us feel some type of way. The fact that we cannot learn our own history, the fact that all the stuff that Greg Street was talking about, should make us feel some type of way. And we got to go past the feeling. We got to do some actions now. All right? Some things that we have to do. Now, don't put the child in the crib and let the child sleep. Let the child roll around. Because a very, very brilliant African theorist, African researcher said that in those first few years, all of the learning of a child, the intelligence can be built up if you let the child explore. All right, because they're exploring with their hands, they're learning all kinds of things, and their body is developing. So if you let them crawl around, feel the different textures, the rug, the floor, they look into a mirror and they see the reflection, they say, oh, that's another baby. And they begin to realize, oh, that's me. Their mind is developing, but they can't develop if they're in the crib, behind bars. Okay? Now, we have to understand that actions scream when words whisper. Let me say that again, because I don't think, let me just let it marinate for a second. Actions scream when words whisper. We have to understand that that whole thing about do as I say and not as I do, that's not our culture. That is not our culture. Because in our culture, the adults did what they were supposed to do. And the children seen what they were doing, and therefore they did what they were supposed to do. Okay? So do as I say and not as I do is not part of our culture. You have to do right. Because children are looking at you. You are the first line of education. And just looking at you is the first line of education. And so what ends up happening is that they're seeing some images. They're seeing some images. And they're copying those images. And anybody who's in the school system knows exactly what I'm talking about. Our children are copying some images that they're seeing. And we have to understand that when you put your child in front of TV and go cook or go do whatever you got to do, you are educating your child. But you're giving them the wrong type of education. When they watch the Atlanta Housewives and the Boss, Atlanta Boss and all that stuff, they're getting an education. But they're getting the wrong type of education. And some of the children look at me like, oh, you need to shut up, because I like my Atlanta Housewives. Turn the TV. You got to turn the TV. Turn the TV. Because they're learning some things, and I don't think you're going to be happy. Just go and peep in the school one time and see what they be doing to get into the school. See the type of dances they're doing. They look African, but they done changed a little bit. All right. School, a parent participates all the time. Oh, I went to the Parent-Teacher Association meeting, and went by the end of the meeting, more teachers in the meeting than the parents. Okay, let's say we get a big old room full of parents in the meeting. Then what? If we talking about raising money and doing bake sales, how many men you gonna have in the meeting, first of all? Yeah, say 2. Yeah, we can't. Our meetings have to be goal-oriented, action-oriented. Then you will get more men in the meetings. If we had a meeting and we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to plan on going to the school board. And these are the questions we're going to ask. Okay, let's debate about what questions we should ask when we go to the school board. These are the things that we want for our school, okay? These are the people that we're going to take down there when we go. If you have a meeting like that, then you will have more people being involved. But then even if they don't be involved, you go into the community. You know, who says that a PTA meeting has to be inside the cafeteria? Go into the community and have it. Go into the projects and have it. Whatever school system you're teaching. If you're teaching over there by Westlake, go into one of the subdivisions over there. But you have to be intentional and goal-oriented and action-oriented. School participation is a 24/7 thing if you have children in this school system. Because we just talked about the fact that the school system is automatically making your child feel inferior because of the lack of black presence in the curriculum. So therefore, we have to be intentional about any involvement that we have. So we have to be action-oriented. So when we go into the school systems, when we have our parent-teacher organizations, when we want more people to be involved, go where the people are. Make sure that we have some things involved. Okay, let me just go over a few other things when it comes to parent participation. And we put some inside your document that we gave you. Everybody know about Parent Portal? Raise your hand if you know about Parent Portal. Let's raise your hand. So those of you who don't know about Parent Portal, get with the ones that know about Parent Portal. With Parent Portal, most school systems have it. You can see your child's grades. You can see your child's, as soon as the teacher put the grade in there, you can see the grade appear. You can, there's contact information. You can get it on your smartphone. You can walk me right down the street. I want to know what child, where my grade got. Oh, she got a what? Let me go to this school right now. We got to get involved. We got to get involved on all levels. So we gave some more tips in there about participating in the school. So just read through that, and we'll save anything else for the question and answer session. Let me go back for a second. Last thing I'm going to talk about: music. The children are getting an education. Are we in control of that education though? Yeah. So we live in a time when you can go on YouTube and convert any video into an MP3. Y'all do that, right? And put it straight on the little thing that they walk around with. The music going straight into the ears. Because we don't have to pick things on our ear no more. The thing goes straight into the ears, into the brain. And the behaviors are being seen. And even if the behaviors are not being seen, what we have to understand is that even if a child has if they're insensitive to the behaviors, that means they're going to hang out with people who exhibit those behaviors, and they're not going to see anything wrong with it because they're listening to it so many times, even if they don't do it themselves, which is still dangerous. And we have lawyers that teach law in Black society. They'll tell you what happens when you're hanging out with somebody that commit a crime. Because you don't think anything wrong with that. That's just my friend. You know, he do that sometimes. Right. So, we have to understand what's going on. How many adults in here know who Chief Keef is? Not enough. How many adults know who Young Schooler is? Young Schooler. Not enough. How many adults in here know who, let me see, who another? Give me another one. Huh? Give me another one. Don't be scared. Give me another one. Who? Beanos? Migos. I don't even know that one. Yeah, leave. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, have you heard the one? Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. Have you heard? That's them too? Oh, that's Migos. Oh my God. Yeah. Go. All the adults, go on YouTube, please, and put that in. Now you can't listen to it too long because what ends up happening is you start going backwards in time. You start forgetting how to talk and spell your name and stuff. So we have to be intentional about this, y'all. We have to start listening to what's on the iPod and the little MP3 players. And we don't want to get into a situation where we say you can't listen to that, but let's have an intelligent conversation. You can't have an intelligent conversation if you don't know what they're having a conversation about. You got to know these people. You got to know Chief Keef. You got to know Young Scooter. You got who had a song called "I'll Show You How to Make Cocaine," and they played it on the radio all day long, every day. Just playing the song on the radio. "I'll show you how to make cocaine." Then when he got details about it now, talking about the Metroton and how they put it on the scale, he got detail about it. So they know it's being played on the radio, but you don't know. We got to be intentional. We being hit from all angles, y'all. So if you go back to when I was growing up in the 80s, the music was very balanced. Now, I snuck and listened to Luke Skywalker, but I had to sneak and listen to it. You don't even have to sneak anymore. You don't even have to sneak. It's right there. I'll show you how to make cocaine. All right? Video right on YouTube. So we are living in a time where the music is readily available. They can go and just put it on their little MP3 player iPods. We have to start having conversations about why it is destructive. Just saying you're not going to listen to it in my house, that's not good enough. Because your house is very, even if you have a big 4,100 square foot house, it's still a small area compared to the world. So just saying you can't listen to it in my house is not good enough. We got to have intelligent conversations about why it is self-destructive, why it is not good. And the only way you can have an intelligent conversation is if you go and research the people yourself. Because nowadays, children are doing everything when they listen to music. They cleaning up, listening to music. They're walking down the hallway, listening to music all day long. And the information is going right into their brain, even if they don't listen to the beat. Even if they claim they're only listening to the beat. And we can get into a whole debate about the music and all that stuff. I'm ready for it because I have a debate every single year. As a matter of fact, one year the debate got so strong that I just took some time out of class and did an experiment. I had one half of the class listen to a couple of white stations, and one half of the class listen to the 2 black stations. And we chronicled every single song that came on. We looked at the message, and we kept track of all the themes, right? And then we came back to class and had a conversation, the white side and the black side. And you will be amazed at how their minds changed when they seen the difference between the messages that are being sent on the 2 stations. These are corporations that own these stations, y'all. These are corporations. The corporations are controlling things right now. We live in a government that's controlled by corporations. And the corporations only care about making money. They don't care about anybody. not even their own people, but they'll put their own people, give them a little privilege so they'll think they're doing something, which is a technique that was used way back in slavery times. So the same techniques being used, they just use it a little bit different to let us think that we're different. It's the same technique and it works beautifully. And so we have to be intentional about what we're going to do to combat that situation. So music is being listened to on all kinds of levels. Now let me ask you a question. Nike pays LeBron James millions of dollars a year to wear their shoes. Why do they do that? Why? So children don't wear the shoes, right? Is it working? It's working beautifully, ain't it? So what is the difference when Rick Ross advertised all this stuff he talked about and he tells the children that he got it from selling cocaine? What's the difference? He's advertising the same products, but he's going a little bit further. He's going a little bit further. He's actually saying that this is the way you get the stuff. So he's advertising a lifestyle, and it's working beautifully. Because if you don't believe me, go to any school in our neighborhood, and you'll see a lot of children identifying with this behavior. So we're in some trouble if we don't start being intentional about combating this situation. Because we have war. This is all-out war. And if we don't address this situation like it's war and be strategic, we're going to lose it. And I tell my students straight out, we have war. The EOCT is a war tactic. And if you don't get the ammunition that you need, you're going to lose that war. So they're screening all those people with these different tests. Now we don't move to the Common Core, which is another test. And what happened after Common Core? A bunch of people failed the math part. That's the first subject they moved to the Common Core. And as soon as they moved over to the Common Core, a bunch of people failed, all across the state, failed the test, miserably. About 10% passed the test the first year. This is a screening process, y'all. So we got to be very intentional. Every time they switch over, we need to go get the information. We can debate about it and the marriage stuff. We can sit there and debate, but in the meantime, we need to feed our children the things they need, the tools they need to get past it, because they still got to graduate. He's advertising a lifestyle. The amigos, they advertising a lifestyle. Young schooler, he's advertising a lifestyle. And they advertising it for free. I call them free agents. Because they're not even getting paid to be an agent for the government. They're free agents. Let me say that again, because I don't think they heard what I said well. They're free agents. They're not even getting paid to destroy our community. They're free agents. So we have to be intentional about dealing with that. Have conversations, research it. Go on YouTube and say, hey, what you looking at? What you looking at, Raheem? Because we like to say, what you looking at, Johnny? Ain't nobody. What you looking at, Tom? Ain't none of us your name, Tom. What you looking at, Raheem? What you looking at, Omar? Let's have a conversation about that, Omar. Let's talk about this rapper and why is he using those images? Why he got those women dancing around with no clothes on, Omar? What you think about that? Do you want your little sister doing that, Omar? Just have some conversations with him. Don't just say, oh, Omar, get that out of my house. Cut that off. Then he goes down the street and listens to what his friend. We have to be intentional. Because now, Omar don't even trust you no more. Because he can't have an intelligent conversation with you. Debate with him. Well, actually, you know what? You can't debate with him. And he'll tell you why. Teach him. Teach him. All right? So, wrap it up. Because it's time for you to get motivated by the greatest motivator in the world. When we sit our children in front of the elders, they're getting an education. When our children are involved in arts and crafts, they're getting an education. When our children are doing chores around the house, they're getting an education. We have to be in control of the education of our children. Otherwise, somebody else is going to be in control of the schooling. And we don't want any schooling, we want education. We are all educators. We have to think of ourselves as that. We are the first line of education. And then when we really get into it, we got to understand that it's up to the whole community. So when a child goes out on the street, they need to be educated by somebody else. At the same time, we all have to be on the same page when it comes to this, because we are at war. And if we are not on the same page, we're going to lose. We can't spend time debating about this and that. We have to come together and take control of our children and understand that we did not start from the bottom. We started from the top, and now we're here. And here is not the destination. This is only a journey, and it's only the beginning. Thank you very much.